All right, hey YouTube, this is your boy BrogiNaric back again doing another review talking about Luke Cage season 2 on Netflix. Dropped last Friday, and I've binged it. I didn't rush through it because if I rushed it, I probably would have finished it probably about Sunday. But I finished it last night, and it's really good, like really good. And I'm thinking it's probably my new favorite because season 1 was my favorite, and this one is better than season 1. The problems that I had with season 1, this show fixed in a positive way, which I'm glad to see because I wasn't sure it was going to be able to pull that off. But this is a fun show. All the actors, the new actors in it, the returning actors are great, and the newer actors for the most part are really good too. There's like probably like one in particular new character I wasn't too big on, but Michael Coulter as Luke Cage, he holds it down. And this show takes that character in a very interesting direction, which from some people say they're not liking it. It does kind of come out of nowhere, but if you watch it, it's like it was building toward that. If you really pay attention, when you like rewatching certain episodes, I realized, well, it was building towards this. It's probably not the best decision that the character makes, but it is a decision, and we'll see how it plays out next season. New things, Bushmaster, the new villain, Bushmaster, played by Mustafa Shakir. He is awesome. Like, I know people really like Cottonmouth, but I think I like this guy more than Cottonmouth. Because Cottonmouth was, don't get me wrong, Cottonmouth was great, but he didn't really get to do a whole lot, which was kind of the problem with season 1. But this guy is awesome. Bushmaster is charismatic. He's sympathetic. That was the thing. I wasn't expecting him to be so sympathetic. He's basically like him and the Stokes family. They're like like a black version of the Hatfields and McCoys. They're a family that's been feuding, and the Stokes family, which is Black Mariah and Cornell's family, did his family wrong, and now he's out for revenge. And he also has superpowers, which is not a spoiler. You see it in the trailer. Black Mariah and Shades, who the power couple from last season, they're great. What they go through is amazing. Alfre Woodard she really is the MVP of this season. Like, she holds it down. She takes it to another level. She goes over the top at times, with some people I think are having a problem with, but I'm fine with it. Like, she goes over the top at times, but she also makes it very serious and dramatic when she needs to, and she's hilarious. And her relationship with Shades go through some changes. Shades is really, like, I love what's his name, Theo Rossi as Shades last season, and he has a good side story. He actually makes a very major decision which changes a lot of things as this show goes on. We get Misty Knight, what's her name? Simone Messick as Misty takes it out of the park. Like, I liked her last season, but I was like, she's not necessarily Misty Knight. But by the end, when she appears in that red dress, I'm like, oh, that's Misty. And this season, she's more like Misty from the comics. She's got the missing arm. She gets the the cybernetic arm, and her main story is like dealing with rehabilitation, but also dealing with leadership, taking the role of leadership within the police department. And yeah, I'm loving what next season might be. And we also get her teaming up with Colleen Wing a little bit. Just a little bit of her and Colleen Wing, a little bit of the Daughters of the Dragon. They don't go full force with it, but that's fine. We get okay, so yeah, back with Luke. So Luke, like, this season, Luke is like, at the beginning of the season, he's a full-on superhero. One of my negatives about last season was how he was so reluctant to be a superhero for the community, but in this one, he's full force with the superhero aspect, to the point where it's now his main focus, and he's letting because he has built up anger. If the revelations that he dealt with last season is building up in him, so he's now channeling that anger into crime fighting, and he's taking out different drug dealers and crime bosses one by one. And Claire is trying to keep him in check because she realizes not only is he getting more brutal, but he's actually somewhat enjoying the brutality, and she's trying to hold him back and Luke is fighting with her because he doesn't want her to get involved, even though she's been involved, you know, from the beginning, like all the way back to Daredevil. So, but he doesn't want her to get too involved because he wants her to be safe, but he's also pushing her away, and she's trying to, you know, be there for him. We get what's the actor's name? Reg E. Cathy, who plays in this Luke's dad, which I didn't know he was playing Luke's dad. I knew he was like playing a preacher, but I didn't know he was Luke's dad. And he is great. The tension between Luke and his dad and how that's sort of resolved. Because you can't resolve it completely, because the stuff Luke's dad has done has really, I mean, you know, if you watch season 1, you know the role his dad plays and how he ends up basically becoming superpowered. And his dad is trying to, his dad is like, he moves to New York, and then he's like doing sermons talking bad about Luke Cage, and then Luke eventually finds out that that's his dad. And well, he knows it's his dad when he sees him, but he didn't, you know, he meets him, and he's trying to get away from him. Claire's trying to get them together. Then there's another new character that comes in, Tilda. Well, I guess I can say Tilda Dillard, who is Mariah Dillard's daughter. She comes into the picture. She's a doctor she's not a traditional doctor. She focuses more on like herbal medicine and teas and what's that? Is it holistic doctor? I can't remember. But she does that type of work more than the medical work. And she has her issues with her mother. She doesn't really like her mommy as much because Mariah was distant towards her and has sort of a bit of a hatred towards her. But Mariah tries to get her back into her life because Mariah's goal is she doesn't want to be a criminal anymore. She wants to be back to legitimate political lady, but things don't go that way. Certain decisions she makes and certain things that happen to her forces her to not be able to go down that path. Other positives, they increased the action in this season because the action was sort of lacking and it was sort of basic, which outside of like the Daredevil shows, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and sadly Iron Fist always kind of had, the action wasn't that great. But this season there's more fight scenes, more action, and it's shot way better than what it was in season 1, which is another positive for me and why I like this more. There was a lot of musical. They had more musical guests in this one too. They had a lot of new people I wasn't familiar with, and people who did really great. They had less of a funk musical guest. They had more blues musical guests, but it's a broad spectrum. They got blues, they got jazz, they got hip hop, old school hip hop, and you know R&B. So it's a wide range of musical. Oh, and reggae. That's right, and reggae too. There's a wide range of musical guests. You know, Faith Evans, should I say? Well, I don't know if I should spoil all of them, but you can look it up. There's a couple ones, but some really good ones. We got a new Luke Cage rap from Rakim, which is, I think, better than the Method Man one we got in season 1. But another thing that this show does. Well, okay, well, no, before I go to that, we got other new characters and reoccurring characters. So we get a new character, Piranha, who's what's her name? Mariah's money guy. Like, he handles her funds. He's great. I thought he was annoying at first, but as the show goes on, there's a particular episode, I think it's episode 5 and 6, where he hires Luke Cage. He's hilarious. He's funny. We get another guy, Cockroach. Both Piranha and Cockroach are characters from the comics, and they reworked them into this show. Cockroach is just a douchebag criminal, and he's like an abusive asshole, and that's part of Misty's storyline for a little bit in the beginning. And then we also get the returning character of Ben Donovan, who, if you've been watching these shows, he's the lawyer. He's the black lawyer with the gray hair, the gray temples that pops up in Daredevil. He's Kingpin's lawyer. He's also Mariah's lawyer, and you get a lot. He's awesome. I like that guy, and he has a lot more to do in this series. And his connection to Mariah and the Stokes family, he was awesome. And but the other thing I want to talk about is like how this show is why I like most of it is the relevancy of it, like the subjects that they talk about, which one I didn't even realize was coming up, was they talk about, to a degree, immigration and how that's, you know, big in the media right now. But there's certain things, because, you know, you have the Jamaicans and Bushmaster's doing all this wild shit and is like could affect the community, because then like ICE can come in and start shipping people away, and so Bushmaster coming in, upsetting the order, trying to take out the Stokes, affects everyone. And then you got the immigration stuff. You still have the black people dealing with racism. It's not, like I said, it's not, because there's not a lot of white characters in this, so it's not necessarily there's that one white guy that all the racism is blamed on. It doesn't really do that, but it talks about it and how being black, and you have to, Luke's talking about like I'm already a big black man, so I can either be the scary black man or I could just be the house, the house Negro smiling and stuff. But and Claire shoots him down like that's not the way you should think. It's not that simple. And there also business. Another thing I really like was the seeing black business and black empowerment throughout the show. Granted, there's the underbelly of that, but then there's also a positive side to that as well, in terms of being a business person not just black, but being a business person in America, but then also knowing there's like the underside, there's the dirt you kind of have to do in order to be successful in America. And sometimes you have to screw people over. Sometimes you have to make deals with people that you don't want to, but I like that aspect of the show. They really expand upon that, and the history of the Stokes family and what it is, I really enjoyed. But like I said, the music, action increase, the acting is great. Although this season does rely more on the blaxploitation, like a modern day blaxploitation, which I don't know, some people might like, some people don't. I love it. It's closer to the comics. That's the other reason why I love this. Is whenever they can make these shows closer to the comics, I'm gonna love it. Like, I know some people didn't like Daredevil season 2 over season 1. I like season 2 more because it's closer to the comics. We got Daredevil fighting ninjas, as opposed to him, sort of just fighting in a black ninja outfit. But anyway, more into that later. But there's also, I will say, it does start off slow, because unlike season 1, where season 1 started off really good and then it kind of petered out just a little bit, this one starts off slow and then builds up. And the first episode is not as good as the first episode of season 1, but if you stick with, I'm telling you, just stick with it, especially about episode 4 to 5, it really gets going. So if you're watching the first 3 episodes, and you're like, this isn't really going to stick with it, it picks up, it's worth it. But it is a bit of a slow burn. That's not a negative, but because certain things can have slow burns. Punisher was a slow burn, but you stick with it, it works out. But check this season out. It's worth your time. They did it again. It didn't dip in. It's not a dip in quality. They increased the quality. My favorite of the Netflix superhero shows, for the Marvel Netflix superhero shows for right now. And check it out. But in a little bit, I'm gonna do spoilers, so stick around for that. Actually, you know what? No, I forgot something. We're not gonna do spoilers. Actually, I want to mention my favorite episode. Favorite episode of the season, episode 10. I don't remember the name of it, but it's awesome because it's a lead. It's awesome because it's a lead into what I hope season 3 will be ultimately. We get a team up between Luke Cage and another character. I'm not going to necessarily say who, but if you know Luke Cage, you know who it is, and it's fucking awesome. That's my best episode. So now, stay tuned, and we're going to get into spoilers.